Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Adrian from WRX Daily. Today we're going to finally get rid of the stock suspension and install some new aftermarket coilovers. For this installation, we went ahead and went with the Fortunato 500 series coilovers. Stuck with the default spring settings, which are 8K. They also included 2 spanner wrenches, 3 Allen keys, 2 front sway bar links, and a set of washers. Before we start the installation, I want to go ahead and mention, before you install these, you guys should double check the preload for these. These were set from the factory. We went ahead and double checked it and everything checked out. So these are all good to get installed. As you can see, we already have the wheels off, so we'll go ahead and get the installation started. Okay, before we can remove the strut from the vehicle, we have to remove everything else that is connected to it. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and start off with this sensor wire right here. As you can see, it is held on by a clip. So go ahead and grab some needle nose pliers. All you'll have to do is pinch the back of it and pull, and they'll come right out. Next thing we're gonna do is remove the brake line from the coil. That is gonna be held on by a 12mm. So go ahead and grab your socket and socket wrench. You guys look in the back, it'll be right back here. So go ahead, just pop it right there. All right, go ahead and hold on to this. I believe we'll be using this on the other coilovers. Okay, next we're gonna disconnect our front sway bar links. We're gonna go ahead and hit it with the impact, see if that works out. Perfect. In the case that you hit it with the impact and it just continues to spin, you're gonna have to switch to an open end wrench or anything with an opening, and you'll have a little spot right here where you can put an Allen wrench and hold it, and you're gonna have to break it like that. In our case, we were lucky and it came off with the impact, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue and take off the bottom. Okay, we got that removed. We're not gonna be needing this, so you can go ahead, put the nuts back on and set this off to the side. Okay, with everything else removed, we can go ahead and start with the knuckle. It's good practice to grab a Sharpie and mark the current location of the camber bolt with the knuckle. That way when it comes to installation, you guys can put it back in the same exact spot. Once you have that all completed, we're gonna go ahead and start to take these off. Just grab your 19mm and hit it. Okay, once you have everything removed, we're pretty much done down here. We can go ahead and move to the top and work on the top hat bolts. Okay, coming to the top, we have our 3 top hat bolts up here. They're gonna be 14mm. Go ahead and grab your tool. We're gonna start and get these broken loose. If you guys have a second hand, you can go ahead, break all of these loose while they hold on the bottom, and you can remove the nuts. If that is not the case and you're working alone like myself, you can go ahead, take off these first 2 nuts right over here. Once you get those first 2 off, go ahead, just break the 3rd one just a little bit. Okay, once you have that loose, go ahead, reach down here. You can pull up on the strut. While holding the bottom and pushing up, you'll be able to undo this 3rd nut. Once that's removed, go ahead, carefully pull out the coilover, making sure you do not grab anything on the way out. And that's all there is. Okay, once you have everything removed, we can go ahead and proceed with the installation. Go ahead, grab your new set of coilovers. We're gonna go ahead and guide it down here. Once you have that there, go ahead, start threading on some of the nuts. Once you have one, you should be okay to let go of it, and then work on putting the rest of the nuts on. Same thing, we're gonna go ahead and just tighten these up just a little bit. All right, once you get that all tightened up, we're pretty much done up here, so we're gonna go ahead and go to the bottom. All right, so we're gonna have to put this back into the coilover. It helps having a jack. Unfortunately, we do not have one. So I'm actually gonna lift this up while my coworker over here puts in the bolt for me. All right, once you have both of those in, that's pretty much all of the hard part out of the way. We did mark this earlier, so go ahead and make sure that you keep that back in line. Once you have that there, remember the washer goes on this one. Go ahead, put your 2 nuts back on and then tighten this up. Okay, once you have these tightened up and everything's still in line, we can go ahead and start returning everything back to where they belong. The wire with the clip is just gonna go right back into here. Go ahead, push that in, give it a tug, make sure it's in. Next, we move back to the brake line. Just like how you removed it, you're gonna install it back the same exact way. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, do the final step of this front half. We're gonna need to install our front sway bar links. As you guys notice, these are adjustable. they don't give you a specific height of where you need to set it. It's all gonna depend on how low or how high you decide to go with these coilovers. So what they do recommend is that the sway bar retains where it was from the factory. So we did not move the other side, so the sway bar didn't move. So I'm just gonna go ahead and adjust this to where it fits into our coilover and back into the sway bar. Okay, once you have everything adjusted and it's ready to go in, you're gonna grab your 2 washers. They're gonna go both on each side of where the nut's gonna be. It's gonna kind of act like a guide so it doesn't move as much. Okay, once you get this far, go ahead, tighten everything, and then you'll be pretty much complete with this side. Okay, coming to the rear installation, we're gonna go ahead and get started by removing these 3 bolts. You got one 17mm bolt here, one 14mm bolt right here, and then another 17 here. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'll remove the 17mm bolts first. Okay, once you get that all removed, you can go ahead and pop out the bolts. Go ahead and set them off to the side because we're going to be reusing that. You can go ahead and just pull this down. You'll see your factory strut is now loose. So we're going to go ahead and make our way up into the trunk, and then we'll go ahead, undo the top 2 up there, and then you should be able to come right on out. Coming up to the top, we're going to need to remove everything in here in order to give us access to those 2 nuts at the top of the strut. Once we get access, there'll be these 2 right up in here. And then those will be the last 2 that are holding up the strut. So we're gonna go ahead, get those loosened up. It helps having a person come in the bottom and holding up the strut while you undo these. Then once the nuts are off, you can go ahead and just pull them out. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Once you get your old strut out, we're gonna head, grab our new coilover, and then we'll pretty much reverse the steps. We'll start by putting this one in, and then you'll just put the 2 nuts on the top, and then we can work our way going back down. Okay, once we get the 2 nuts on the top installed, you can see that the coilover is not going anywhere. We're gonna go ahead and reinstall the lower control arm back onto the coilover. I actually did get this one already installed since I needed a hand with this one. So this one's in. We're gonna install our last 2 bolts over here. So we'll start with this one. So, just gotta play with it. And we have the one over here. Go ahead, once you get those bolts through, you can tighten it. Alright, once everything's tightened, we're gonna go ahead, get back up, put the wheel back on, and see where we're sitting at. Okay, we have the wheel back on. That's gonna pretty much sum up the installation for the rears. All you have to do is repeat everything you did on the other side, and that'll complete the entire installation. We're gonna lower the vehicle now, and then we're gonna see where we're sitting at. We don't really want to do too much adjustments until we get our actual wheels on the vehicle, but we'll go ahead, lower the vehicle, and then we'll go ahead and show you where we're at. Once you have all 4 installed, you completed the installation. As you can see, she's sitting pretty low. We have about, let's say, a 1-finger wheel gap between the wheel and the fender. Super happy with how it came out. As always, if you guys want to pick up something for yourself, we will link this in the description below, so go ahead, check that out. As always, thank you for tuning in, and have a nice day.